Yo, what's good everybody? Update 6.5 of Anime Vanguards just released, meaning we got a bunch more new units. And after checking out the update for a solid minute and getting a good look at all the units, I thought this could be a perfect time for me to make my update 6.5 tier list. So if y'all do enjoy this video, please make sure to like, subscribe, and join my Discord down in the description, because once I hit 4,000 subscribers, I'm going to be doing some battle pass giveaways inside my Discord server. So make sure y'all sub up and make sure y'all join my Discord so y'all don't miss out. So let's stop the yapping. Let's get into the video. All right, so as you can see, the tier list is blank because I did not do a tier list for update 5.5 or for update 6.0. So I'm gonna go ahead and speed run this tier list until I hit update 6.0. Once I hit update 6.0, then I'm gonna go from there, discuss why I put each unit where they're put at, and just talk about the unit in general once I get to the units in update 6.0. And then I'm gonna talk about 6.0 and 6.5. So let me speed run this real quick. All right, so this is a tier list I have currently up until update 5.5. Now, to explain why the Boos aren't here and Sid and Vegito aren't here, I'm just including them all together. So Boo right here, meta damage, I'm including all of them. Sid, I put him in meta damage as well. I'm including John Smith. And then Vegito, I'm including with Goku. That's why he's meta overall, because he can be a support and a DPS. So explanations for that. And the tier list right there, you can go see it yourself. There's probably explanations on other channels about like why Gogeta is meta damage. I don't know why you need an explanation for that, but why Virgil's really good, why Dante's really good, why Aizen's really good, why Yuhaba is one of the best units in the game, etc, etc. But now let's get on to the update 6 units first. So first of all, Baiken, easily meta overall. She can do some of the highest DPS in the game, and she has crazy support capabilities. She can repulse, she can attach units, making them not leave her range, and then she could also share damage between all enemies that she attacks for 1% of their damage, or 0.1% of their damage, which is crazy. So she can just constantly do damage over and over and over again. It's really crazy. She can do so much damage and supports like crazy. So really good unit. Next up, we have Dark Mage. I don't know his actual name, I'm just calling him Dark Mage. He is a meta support because he's a bleed unit, and he is a bleed support unit. He buffs bleed. He also slows. Really good unit, especially with now each update we're getting a lot more bleed units. He will come in very handy for those units as well. Next up, Elfelt. She got, I would say gutted, but I don't even know if you can call it a gut because she was so busted and absolutely broken. She was doing, I think, like 600k DPS before. It was diabolical. So I don't even know if I can call this a gut because she's still stupidly broken, and she is one of the highest DPS units in the game. She does burst DPS, so it's not a constant DPS, but depending on how you play her, she can be a really good DPS unit constantly. And for bosses, I mean, she is a stupidly good boss killer. Really good damage, meta damage easily. One problem about her is that you have to look out for 3 Elfelts unless you have Monarch on her. Easily Monarch's the best trait on her, just because you have to focus on only one. It just makes it so much easier. However, if you do the thing with T on the side of your game bar and you can just pick through all the abilities that you have active and you can just spam it with those 3, I don't know if what I just said makes sense, but in general, really good damage unit, amazing unit. And then Bridget, she is a really good DPS unit. It's just she's kind of hard to use because you have to prioritize her in a way for you to put her on last, put her on first. You have to kind of control where she goes to do as much DPS as you can. If used properly, she can do some stupid amounts of damage. If not used properly, she's just there. But I'm thinking about it like, if you use her properly and you use her to her max potential, she is easily a meta damage unit. Next up, we have Al. I think I don't even know if this is a guy or a girl, but Al. He is also, or she is also, they're also a really good support unit, right? they cleanse units in the range, and I think that's the biggest thing about them. They're a really good cleanse unit. That's the biggest thing. They're a really good cleanse unit, and cleansing units honestly come in very handy, especially now with all these new modifiers and debuffs that AV is adding. Having a cleanser unit that cleanses more often than not is actually very useful. So very good unit right here, very good support unit. And then next up we have Kazi, another really good support unit. She can also be a damage unit, but I'm thinking about her mainly because support, because I'm not gonna lie, 99% of the time you're gonna be using her supports, and her freeze form is the biggest thing about it, because like it suggests, she freezes, but she also has a bubbled effect with the freeze. That bubble makes the enemy that just got hit by the effect take 30% more damage from the next attack. It doesn't have to be straight from Kazi, it can just be from any unit that gets hit by that enemy that has bubbled on them, and the enemy can get afflicted with bubble just by her attacks or from her actual bubbles on the path. So it's really good if you have 3 and just spread them around the field. So she can basically have 9 bubbles just placed out on the field. It comes in really handy, and she's a really good support unit, making them take more damage. She also freezes, really good AoEs as well, and not even that expensive. Really good support unit. Honestly, a must get, I'm not gonna lie. And then Astolfo, another meta support unit. Astolfo is a different case because you need to kind of keep track of how he works. You know, he's not just you place him down, he does his thing, and you're done. No, I feel like Astolfo's a really good meta infinite support unit, because in infinites, you know, you're more locked in, you know, you're more focused on what you're doing, and in those scenarios Astolfo comes in very handy. I feel like in just regular progressive game modes, Astolfo's kind of tedious to handle and to kind of use, in my opinion, because you have to keep track of all 3 abilities, you have to keep track on how you use them, etc, etc. Not meaning that he's bad, it's just it's a little bit tedious for most game modes. However, in infinite mode or just in really long stages where you have to focus, Astolfo comes in very handy and has a lot of buffs with him. So another meta support unit. And then next up we have a Gear Boy. I'm gonna put him at S or actually S, because he is very cheap and does a decent amount of damage. He's a really good progressive unit, especially if you're new to the game. He's a really cheap unit, pretty good damage, and just a solid unit. You could argue putting him at A, you know, you could have your discussions about that. I think he's actually pretty decent. I'm gonna put him at S, pretty good unit. And then next up, Soul Bad Guy. He's kind of like a broke boy version of Elfeltz. You know, if you don't have Elfelt, you kind of use Not Bad Guy. He's not bad, it's just he's okay. He does burn, he does his follow-ups, he does pretty decent damage. His follow-up AoE is really, really small. You can barely attack anybody with it. If he did his peak DPS at all times, he'd probably be meta damage, but because it's like a fall off, and once he's not in that, I think it's like dragon install mode, then he kind of just falls off. So he's an S in my opinion, pretty good unit. And then next up, you go to the update 6.5 units. First of all, Hibana. You could debate putting her at meta support or support. I feel like she will definitely become a meta support once a lot more burns come in. Me personally, I'm gonna put him at meta support because she's a really good buffing for burn. Like imagine her with Karam and Rengoku and like Yamamoto, for example, or any other meta burn unit. You know, having those 3 buffers that buff burn specifically comes in crazy. Now I don't think Karam buffs burn, he just kind of takes advantage of other burn units, right? Because I think if an enemy is burning and then Karam attacks the same enemy, he does like frost burn or something. So imagine Hibana, Rengoku, Karam, and like Yamamoto, or like another burn unit that I'm forgetting, and just put them together, or a not good guy, or a Choi, for example. They will go crazy together. The synergy there is amazing, and used properly, Hibana can be a really good support unit. Marilyn, I think, is also another really good support unit because she nullifies, and then she also blocks 3 status effects coming to your units, right? So if you place her down, I think it's like 20% of her range the units have to be in. So you probably want to get like a marksman or like a good range trait on her to get full advantage of that. But she basically blocks 3 status effects coming to any unit in her cube, 3 of them. And then after the 3 status effects are negated, then you have to wait 40 seconds for it to activate again. Already a really, really nice support unit, especially for units that are also not immune to status effects or this or that. So a really good passive. And then she also can nullify all the units in her range 1 time. So that honestly seems good, right? But comparing that to Lucy, for example, that literally just does that every attack, the developer said Lucy was a mistake. She is way too broken. She should not have been added to the game, but she is. And for those who don't have Lucy, then Marlin is a really, or Merlin, I don't know how, I've never watched 7 Deadly Sins, I don't know how you actually pronounce her name, but she's a really good support unit. I highly recommend getting her. She is really good. Next up, we have Remaru. Honestly, I saw people hating on Remaru because he seems kind of underwhelming. And me personally, I don't know how you could say that, because me personally, I'm putting him at meta damage. He is the only unit in the game, I think, besides Ragna, who can do Monarch levels of DPS without needing Monarch, right? You can get him to around 40k DPS, full AoE, and it costs less than 100k. That already sounds great, right? It's just the fact that you have to use him correctly. You have to upgrade him at correct times. You have to place him all at correct times. You gotta be smart with how you use him. But when used correctly, he can be doing like 220k. No traits, by the way. I tested him out, no traits. All Z plus stats, level 60. He was doing about 220k throughout all four Remarus, every 7.1 seconds. Full AoE. And he can also be kind of like a boss killer because of his other passive, where if you use his Great Sage ability and click on like a boss, for example, right? That enemy that was clicked by the Great Sage would be taking 40% more damage from Remaru. So in general, he is a really good DPS unit, especially for the fact that you don't even need Monarch for him. He is so good, and he doesn't even cost that much. For 4 placements, he costs less than some units that only cost 1 placement, which is crazy. But again, you have to know how to use him correctly to be able to get those low costs. So in general, you can hate me for it. I think Remaru is a meta damage unit, a really good unit that I'm probably going to be using for a lot of traitless game modes. I feel like he's like a top 3 best unit in the game when it comes in terms of traitless, units, right? I feel like Sun Jin Woo is like number 1 maybe, and then Kaguya is number 2. And unless I'm missing someone, maybe Yu Haba too, but Remaru might be like top 3, top 5 best traitless units in the game, in my opinion, right? Remaru, really good unit. And then next up, we have Invincible. Now, Invincible seems like another meta damage unit. I feel like they are a really good unit when it comes in terms of destroying. Usually we have boss killers, right? But these guys, I feel like, are regular mob killers, right? Because they do 50% more damage to non-boss enemies, I think. And if you have 2 base stocks gone, then you're always doing 120% more damage. I think it's a random attack, but still, you're always doing 100% or 120% more damage, 50% more damage to non-boss units. And that in general just comes in really crazy. And then in general, they are full AoE on placement and just have meta DPS. But in general, he does come in full AoE on placement. He is a wide cone. He doesn't cost that much to max out. And adding all that with the passives, Conquest and Invincible are crazy units in terms of DPS. Really good unit. I've yet to get him yet. I do want to get him soon, but I'm honestly just focusing on Kaguya right now. I really want to get Kaguya really badly. And yeah, Invincible, really good unit. Next up, we have Arc. I feel like Arc's actually a really good unit, but it takes a bit of a setup. So me personally, you can honestly argue putting Arc at S, meta support, or meta damage. Now, just to be safe, I'm gonna put her at meta support, right? But this could go either way. The reason for that is because the negative about Arc, or let me talk about the positive first. The positive about Arc is that she can go to 2 elements anytime she wants. She can always be holy, and then she can either choose between nature, fire, and water. Already really good. And with fire, she gets burn. With water, she gets slow, I think. And then with nature, she gets repulse. So she can be a crazy DPS unit with burn and bleed, because she also does bleed on top of all that. She also can slow, and she can also repulse. There's also no cooldown between these. So you can just keep swapping between repulse and slow if you wanted to maximize the support capabilities of her. So it's not like Goku and Vegeta where you have to just wait for the swaps to happen. You can change between repulse and slow anytime you want. However, this can only happen once you transform her into her second form, right? The bad part about that is you have to spend 90,000 yen to get to that form. Before those 90k yen, she's just a basic bleed unit that does decent damage, right? Including bleed, right? That's why I'm saying she can be put into S, meta support, or meta damage, because she has really high potential to be a really good support, really good damage. She can also summon a whole damn army of summons that she kills, or not even kills, but just takes down. So she can be a really good summoner as well. It's just the fact that it takes 90k yen to get her to the upgrade, and before that she was kind of just like right? So I'm gonna put her at meta support because she has really good support capabilities. I feel like that's where she's gonna shine the most. The fact that she can just alternate between slow and repulse anytime she wants is already really broken. But if you have an argument of putting her at S or meta damage, I won't argue. Nonetheless, she's a really good unit. Next up, we have, I'm gonna say Kaguya for last. Next up, we have Rudius. Now Rudius, I feel like he's just okay. He's full AoE, which is really good, and he has good damage. But besides that, I feel like you just if you get him, cool. I don't feel like you should invest much into him though, because he's just kind of just there. I feel like he's probably the weakest out of all the units because yeah, he has full AoE, so does Remaru, so does Invincible on placement. These two just have so many good support capabilities that they just can last a lot longer. Remaru is just there as a damage unit that doesn't have much else to him. So I feel like he's an S, nothing crazy, still a really good unit, but just nothing crazy in my opinion. And then last but not least, Kaguya. Kaguya, in my opinion, is the the best unit in the game? Honestly, it's debatable. Honestly, I don't know. You can either choose Sun Jiwoo, you can either choose Kaguya. Either one, I feel like they're kind of tied. They both do so many different things, but the things they do differently, they do them amazingly, right? I don't know if what I just said makes sense. Hopefully it did. If it didn't, well, it is what it is. But Kaguya is crazy. I'm gonna put her at number 1. I feel like she's, in my opinion, I feel like she's the best unit in the game. She has, I mean, I can go on like a 20-minute spiel about what she does, but I'm trying to shorten as much as I can. She does crazy amount of damage. First of all, just crazy amount of damage. She can have all the elements on your team. So any element that you have on your team, she steals basically. So if you have Sun Jiwoo, which is unknown element, and you have Goku, which is water element, and you have Yuhaba, which is cosmic element, Kaguya also has all of those elements. So she has nature on placement, that never changes. But then if you have Sun Jiwoo, she also gains unknown. If you have Goku, she also gains water. If you have Yuhaba, she also gains cosmic. All 3 of those she gains alongside the other units on your team. So she could have a total of like 4 or 5 elements on her at all times. That is crazy. Her passives also, she can be a really good unit to buff like Elfelt. Every time she attacks, she boosts 2% of a meter of any unit in the range. So Alpha, for example, she gains meter and also uses it a lot. She drains it a lot. 2% isn't much, but it's still something nice to have just in general. So 2% extra to the meter is also just a really nice feature to have with Kaguya. And then she also follows around units, right? She follows around units just like Katakuri right here. So she can follow any unit on the map in her range, of course, in base form, right? However, once you open up a dimension, she can teleport anywhere on the map as long as it's the first unit in the path, if that makes sense. So if the boss is out of her range, right, and she can't teleport to them because obviously she's out of the range, if you pop a dimension, Kaguya teleports to the boss no matter where they are, regardless of the range. However, once the dimension is closed, then she can only teleport within her range, right? So that is crazy. You can do a bunch of stuff with that. She is a really cool unit. And then obviously the biggest thing in my opinion is the dimensions. Now, I'll probably put a screenshot of her dimensions on screen. I don't even have them all memorized. I just know one of them buffs, one of them repulses, one of them stuns, I think. One of them is like a full AoE damage for like 50% of her damage. And then depending on which one you do first and then which one you do after, they do like different stuff. All of it just does so much stuff. I think she also buffs units as well. She is crazy. She is so good. And the reason why I feel like she is better than Sun Jiwoo is because I legitimately think she does absolutely everything. She supports in terms of stunning, repulsing, or I don't even know if she stuns. She repulses though, which is already crazy. A full AoE repulse. She also buffs units for a good amount of damage, and then with her dimension she can teleport anywhere on the map. Without the dimension, she can just teleport anywhere in her range. She also has stupidly high DPS with a nuke that does 10x her damage, and I think that nuke is map wide, a map wide nuke. So all of that in general, so after taking all of that in, I feel like, me personally, I feel like she's the best unit in the game. She is of course the Vanguard banner unit, 0.005% chance. It's gonna be one hell of a grind, but I'm excited because I really want this unit, and I feel like she is going to last a long time. I don't even think she will ever get replaced. I'm not gonna lie. She just has so much to her that just makes her just so unique and just so broken in her own way. But yeah, I think that's about it for this tier list. Let me know what y'all think down in the comment section below. If y'all would change anything about this tier list, what y'all would move up, what y'all would move down, what y'all would think stays the same. And yeah, that's about it. Hope you have a great day or night wherever you are, and I'm gonna see y'all in the next one. Peace.